Hi and welcome to our week in review. A bit shorter week this time, only 4 days because Friday today is it's a Buddhist holiday, so we're not doing a brand new Thailand news today. So this will have to carry you through the weekend until we've got some fresh news for you again next week. It has been a very busy news week, as you can see, with a lot of interesting news, as well as a whole lot of new information and segments from our new vlogger team. Hope you get to enjoy some of those. Do have a fantastic weekend, and we look forward to seeing you next week. But for now, let's check this week's main news stories.
As a fallout from the latest Burmese coup, now 3 weeks old, the True News social media page operated by the Burmese military has been shut down by Facebook, with the tech giant accusing it of inciting violence. The page was shut down yesterday as authorities in Myanmar ramp up the violent response to citizens protesting the forced removal of leader Aung San Suu Kyi. The authorities continue to crack down on those protesting the coup and calling for the military to surrender its power. Suu Kyi is currently in custody alongside several members of her administration since February the 1st, when the army seized power in an early morning bloodless coup. For its part, the military is insisting the power grab was lawful, claiming on its now defunct Facebook page that Suu Kyi's victory in November was the result of a fraudulent election. There have been a number of large protests in major Burmese cities since Suu Kyi's removal. On Saturday, 2 people were killed when the army fired at protesters in the city of Mandalay. There have also been reports of nightly internet blackouts, and authorities have banned several social media platforms. Facebook says it has removed the Tatmadaw True News information team page for, quote, repeated violations of our community standards prohibiting incitement of violence and coordinating harm. It has removed hundreds of similar Burmese army pages in recent years, including content targeting the Rohingya Muslim population.
Bars and pubs throughout Thailand will be able to open from March the 1st in every province except Samut Sakhon, the recent epicenter of new COVID-19 infections. With Thailand's number of coronavirus infections now on a downward trajectory, many provinces with little or no cases have been reclassified by the CCSA. The majority of Thailand's 77 provinces are now classified as green zones, where bars and pubs can operate as normal. Bars, pubs and entertainment venues in orange zones, which includes Bangkok, will be able to serve alcohol until 11 p.m. Restaurants will also be able to serve alcohol and offer dine-in services until 11 p.m. Live performances are allowed, but the customers are not allowed to dance. Some of them shouldn't be allowed to dance anyway. I've seen them. Schools and other education facilities are now open as per normal. In yellow zone provinces, bars and entertainment venues can serve alcohol until midnight, while restaurants can also serve alcohol and offer dine-in services until midnight. Live performances are allowed, but just like the orange provinces, no dancing is allowed. Sports stadiums in both orange and yellow zones can open, but only a limited number of spectators are allowed. Gyms and other fitness centres can open as normal from the start of March. Now, orange zones include Bangkok, Samut Prakan, Samut Songkhram, Nonthaburi, Nakhon Pathom, Pathum Thani, Tak and Ratchaburi. Full details about all the restrictions and the openings at thetiger.com.
Meanwhile, Thailand took delivery of its first doses of COVID-19 vaccines today, with the arrival of doses of the Chinese Sinovac and AstraZeneca vaccines. A Thai Airways International plane carrying the vaccine from Beijing landed at the airport at 10:05 this morning. The shipments included 2 million doses valued at around 1.2 billion baht, which the government ordered from Sinovac Life Sciences of China. Those 200,000 doses will be stored and checked in a warehouse until Friday. The national inoculation program is expected to get underway next week, with frontline medical workers and other vulnerable groups first in the queue. The AstraZeneca vaccine will also be manufactured locally by Siam Bioscience, with production expected to begin in June. The government says vaccines from other manufacturers may also be registered for use in the kingdom, with private hospitals allowed to administer them. The Prime Minister says a number of other manufacturers have expressed interest in having their vaccines approved for use in Thailand. He said that many companies have shown interest to register, but their documents are not completed yet. It is good that we will have more vaccines than the 65 million doses planned by the government right now.
A number of government ministers have been jailed for their part in protests against the government of Yingluck Shinawatra that crippled Bangkok and ultimately led to the 2014 military coup. Yesterday, the criminal court handed prison sentences to 29 former members of the People's Democratic Reform Committee, some of whom were serving as MPs in the current Chan O-cha administration. Former politician and former Deputy PM Suthep Thakksuban has been sentenced to 5 years imprisonment for leading the protest against the Yingluck government during 2013 and 14. The Education Minister has received a prison sentence of 6 years and 16 months suspended, while the Deputy Transport Minister received a 4-year sentence. The former Digital Economy and Society Minister has been sentenced to 7 years in jail. In total, 29 ex-PDRC members have been found guilty of charges including terrorism and insurrection and handed sentences from 4 months to 11 years. They're now barred from holding political office, meaning PM Prayut Chan-o-cha may be looking at a cabinet reshuffle. A specialist in infectious diseases at the Faculty of Medicine of Bangkok's Chulalongkorn University says the arrival of vaccines does not mean it will automatically be safe to reopen to foreign visitors. A specialist in infectious diseases at the Faculty of Medicine of Bangkok's Chulalongkorn University says the arrival of vaccines does not mean it will automatically be safe to reopen to foreign visitors. Tira Warattanarat says opening the borders too soon will only put Thailand in more danger, pointing to a lack of data on the efficacy of vaccines against transmission. Tira adds that asymptomatic carriers could still spread the virus and that the arrival of vaccines could cause people to lower their guard. He insists that more studies are needed into asymptomatic cases as there's not yet enough information. Tira's routinely erred on the side of caution when discussing Thailand's approach to managing the pandemic. He has regularly spoken out against lifting or reducing the mandatory quarantine period, opposed reopening the borders, and called for a 4-week national lockdown as recently as last month. And just before you go, please subscribe to the channel. That's the best way for us to grow the channel and provide you with additional and better services. And we look forward to catching up with you again with another Thailand News Today on Monday.